Ladies and gentlemen, the following podcast is set for one episode. Your host from Columbus, Ohio, is Michael Kirk. Welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast. Hello and welcome to the Outlaw Mudcast, your digital audio dirt sheet for all things Supershow. Top story for this week's episode is, of course, Gen Con. As I'm recording this, it's August 5th. Gen Con in Indianapolis, August 1st through August 4th. I had a good time there, had a relatively decent performance, not like last year, but made some top cuts. Got to try out a few things, not as much as I usually do. But con overall, good experience. I did bring back a little bit of the con crud, so I'm going to try to power through this episode as best I can. Hopefully that won't last too long and I'll be over it relatively soon. I'll start off talking about product releases. And I think the first thing I'll talk about is the daily promos. Every day there was a different promo. The promos for the first 3 days were brand new full art cards. The first card, a follow-up strike at number 22, corner clothesline. That was Thursday's card. Friday's card, follow-up grapple at number 23, pump handle slam. Saturday's card, follow-up submission, number 24, Indian Deathlock. All three of these cards have the same text. Flip one card, draw 3 cards. The Sunday promo was a Gen Con promo from last year. The opening act, follow-up strike, number 22. Draw 3 cards. If either player rolls power for their breakout roll, their roll is +1. There was also, for the first time, a coupon promo. At Gen Con, after you pick up your badges from Will Call, or you can just go directly, there's a materials pickup. Part of the materials pickup includes a bag and a coupon book. Various vendors advertised in the coupon book. SRG Universe advertised in the coupon book. If you presented your coupon to the booth in the gaming hall, you received a full art, alt-art, elbow shot, lead strike number 7, draw 1 card or shuffle up to 3 cards from your discard pile into your deck. The elbow shot line debuted at PAX Unplugged last year. This is the first new card in that line. This is the first alt-art card in that line since the original run. There was another promo card given out at various times. It's a lead strike number 1, Thunderbolt and Lightning, very, very frightening. It's a card from the Super Lucha set. Choose 1 card your opponent has in play and discard it is the text. On the back, it doesn't have a regular card back. It has a little advertisement and QR code for the Kickstarter. But it is playable, you just have to sleeve it. Thunderbolt is misspelled on this version of the card. They left out the D in Thunderbolt. From what I understand, it has been corrected. It should be correct when the actual printing comes out. Those were the promos. We had some con-exclusive competitors come out. A brand new Mark the Shark with 3 finishes, and it also has a 13, 14, and 15 full art. Those are available separately last I looked on supershowthegame.com in the new items section. They came with Mark the Shark at Gen Con. There was also a new Merlin von Berlin. These are new arts. I believe the gimmicks are similar, perhaps even the same. I haven't pulled them out and compared them yet. I've been told Mark the Shark's gimmick is slightly different. I believe the finishes, at least one finish from Merlin von Berlin is different too. He came with 6 finishes. The 3 finishes for Pretzel Wizard and 3 for himself. All of those finishes have the Merlin von Berlin logo on them. And it's the same logo as the original Merlin von Berlin. So you can run the full art finishes with your original Merlin von Berlin competitor, as well as the new. Also making their debut at Gen Con available, there was the new King Brian Cage. There was the new Nicola Mai, which I believe is just an alt-art version of Nicola Mai, the Phenomenal Son. One more new competitor that I don't believe was on the website. I believe it's called Khan. This is a Roman Reigns-inspired character that allows you to run multiple Superman punches. There were also 7 new entrance cards put out, trading with Rock Newman, Henrietta the Bearded Diva, The Big Shot, Rising Sun, EDM, The Masked Llama, and Gia de los Muertos. Those were the new entrances. Also, slight correction, the competitor set is not Khan, it's Kamea-Khan. Kamea-Khan is the name of that new competitor. Those were all the single products. There was one boxed product that debuted. The 10th anniversary 4-player box set. It was $40 on site. It came with a new Snake Pit, a new El Super Hombre, an alt-art version of Sage, an alt-art version of Chamomile Tea, 4 dice, 4 1-27 decks, and a brand new rulebook. I looked through the rulebook, and for the most part, the rulebook is fine. There were 2 things in the rulebook that I had issues with. I brought these up with Steve Resk, so he knows I'm going to talk about them on the show. And I'll give you his answers to my concerns. So the first issue was from the new On Your Turn section, Option 2. And I'll just read Option 2. 2. Pass and bury. You may choose to end your turn without playing a card. If you do, you must bury 1 card in your discard pile when your turn ends. To bury, choose 1 card in your discard pile and put it on the bottom of your deck. And there's some more, but the sentence I took issue with was this. If you do, you must bury 1 card in your discard pile when your turn ends. The reason I don't like this sentence is because reading this could give somebody the idea that if you can't bury a card in your discard pile, you can't pass. That's not true. If you have no cards in your discard pile, you can pass. If you're playing in a steel cage stipulation match or a lumberjack stipulation match. In the steel cage, you can't move cards out of your discard pile. In the lumberjack match, cards, when they enter the discard pile, immediately get buried. There's nothing to bury in your discard pile. You can still pass in those matches. I confirmed that with Steve Resk. So I would ask next time there's a rules revision, that's revised, because I feel like that could be confusing to players. They read this, they get the idea that they can't pass if they don't have cards in their discard pile, and that's wrong. The second issue I have is from the next to last page of the rulebook, the next to last page with text. Under the additional rules section, the portion called Location of Cards When Played. When a card is played, it is considered still in your hand until your opponent stops it or it hits. Once it hits, it immediately goes into play. I have a problem with the "it immediately goes into play" section because there are gimmicks and effects in this game that trigger after a card is hit. The one that immediately came to mind was Practice Sight's gimmick. When your opponent hits a submission, you may discard 1 card in your hand to blank its text. Putting the word immediately here implies to me that there's no time for you to discard a card. Once that card hits, it immediately goes into play. You can't blank its text. The timing is past. Flyboy's gimmick, I believe, would be affected in a similar way. The card hits. They can't, between the time the card hits and the time you activate the text, do anything. Same thing with throws cornbread from the crowd type spectacles. That's the way I would read this. Again, talk to Steve Resk. That is not the case. Of course, Practice Sight's gimmick works, spectacles work, Flyboy's gimmick works, things like that. But don't like this here because you could read this and come away with that thought process, with that's the way it works. Otherwise, I think everything in the rulebook was fine. I didn't see any real issues that stuck out to me. But that was the product that came out. Let's talk about the events and featured matches from Gen Con. I'll start Thursday morning with the opening featured match of the convention, a match for the LFF Hardcore Championship. The challenger, Reverend Goodbrains, playing as the new version of Velvet Assassin. The champion, Ricky Riot, playing as the new version of X-Royce. This was a ladder match. It went to crowd meter 4. The winner, who didn't play a single ladder card the entire game, Ricky Riot. Congratulations to Ricky Riot for successfully defending the LFF Hardcore Championship. Then we get to the first tournament of Gen Con, the Intergalactic Tournament. You had to use intergalactic competitors in this tournament. 12 players. You were eliminated when you had 2 losses. There were 2 undefeated players that made the top cut, Ricky Riot and Bob Dunn. As a result, they received byes in the first round of the top cut. The other 4 players, so 6 players in total, made the top cut. The first match of the top cut saw Colby Cram take on myself, Michael Kirk. I won that match. The second opening match was Matt Bickle, 12 Grap Matt, versus the Phil Birch, with 12 Grap Matt winning. So I faced Chris Pate, who had the bye. Bob Dunn faced 12 Grap Matt. Ricky Riot defeated me with Abominable Big Shots. Bob Dunn defeated 12 Grap Matt. I don't have the notes here for who he played, but Ricky Riot and Bob Dunn face off in the finals of the opening tournament, with Chris Pate winning at crowd meter 4, no stipulations through the entire top cut. Congratulations to Chris Pate for starting off with a tournament victory. The next tournament, Thursday night, the Underworld Tournament. There are 25 players in this tournament. 5 bullet rounds. After the 5 bullet rounds, Chris Pate and James Booker were 5-0. As a result, they were able to choose the stipulation in the top 8. They chose no stipulation in the opening round, in the quarterfinal round. The first match of the quarterfinals was James Booker as the old school version of Cyclone versus Chris Pate as Theo the Greek Neo, with James Booker winning. Second match of the quarterfinals, Johnny Eldorado as Papa Wheelie versus the Director of Operations, Dave Marisak, with Dave Marisak taking the victory using Johnny Gargano. Third match, Colby Cram playing as Johnny Correa versus Ken Fouché playing as the Pretzel Wizard. Colby Cram wins there. Final match of the quarterfinals, the Grump Danny Thunder as Deathmatch King Matt Cardona versus a new player, at least a new player to me, William Wilson, with the new version of D1. The Grump wins that match. So in the top 4 Psycho Circus matches, first semifinal, the Grump versus the Director of Operations. The Grump takes it at crowd meter 2. The other semifinal match, Colby Cram versus James Booker. James Booker takes it at crowd meter 3. So the Grump versus James Booker in the finals of the Underworld event, and the finals were delayed. In fact, this was delayed until Sunday. We did not have the results until Sunday. Here's what ended up happening in this all higher class finals. James Booker conceded the tournament to the Grump, so the Grump won. In exchange for the concession, James Booker will get a future shot at the LFF Underworld Championship, date and time to be determined. So, congratulations to the Grump, although I think people would have liked to have seen the match. That was Thursday. Friday. The opening tournament Friday is a Tornado Tag Team Tournament. 11 players in the tournament, 5 bullet rounds, 1 undefeated player, yours truly going 5-0 with the Immortal Brick Brothers, the Immortal Warrior version. 3 other players end up making the top 4. By a strange coincidence, they were all players I played in the bullet rounds. In the opening match, I have a rematch against Bob Dunn playing as the corner office. This time, unfortunately, he takes the victory. In the other semifinal match, Math Guy as Calamity versus Ken Fouché as the Duo Decimal System. Math Guy takes the victory there. So, Bob Dunn as the corner office new competitor versus Math Guy as Calamity. Crowd meter 1, the winner of the Tornado Tag Team Tournament, Bob Dunn. Congratulations to Bob Dunn for winning Friday morning's tournament, or Friday afternoon's tournament. Next, we have our first featured match of Friday for the LFF Trios Championship. The challenger, the Meeple, playing as the Elite. The champion, the Grump Danny Thunder, playing as the higher class. This match goes to Crowd Meter 4. The winner in a tough match, a very tough match with some surprises. A new card that was released at Southern Friday Gaming Expo that I haven't seen yet was instrumental in this match for the Meeple. But the Grump was able to overcome, and he successfully defends at Crowd Meter 4. The Grump is still the champion with the higher class. His next defense will be in a Trios Birdcage match. Here's what we know about that upcoming Birdcage match. The Grump will be the last person to enter. He'll enter at spot number 6. Simple Chuck will enter at spot number 1, and he will not be able to use a competitor of his choice. His competitor will be chosen for him. 3 of the spots will be determined by the winners of 3 Trios matches. Mr. Rumble will take on Nick Nimble. The winner of that gets into the Birdcage. Brian Schmidt will take on Practicite. The winner of that gets into the Birdcage. And the prize fighter Simon Dabner will take on John Mathis. The winner of that gets into the Birdcage. The last spot in the Birdcage match will be a mystery opponent chosen by General Manager John Close. Those will be the 6 people in the Birdcage match for the LFF Trios Championship. Also, after this match, the SRG boss grants the Meeple a match against the Grump, where, from what I understand, the winner becomes the brand new old school champion. I don't have a lot of details about this. From what I understand, this match didn't happen this weekend. If it did and I missed it, I'm sorry, but I did not see it or hear about it. We also, on this Friday at Gen Con, have a defense of the LFF Tornado Tag Team Championship. The challenger, who won the tournament at Gen Con last year, playing out of RRCW, Brian Ogozelic, challenging with the Young Bucks. The champion, Ken Fouché, playing with the Duo Decimal System. The match goes to Crowd Meter 0, or rather doesn't go past Crowd Meter 0. The winner at Crowd Meter 0, still champion, Ken Fouché. Congratulations to the Grim Librarian for a successful defense. Friday night, we have the Tag Team Tournament. 18 teams in the tournament. Teams were eliminated after they have 2 losses. They end up cutting to a top 8. In the first quarterfinal match, we have the tag team of the Grump and Colby Cram take on the tag team of the Enforcer and Mrs. Enforcer. The Grump and Colby Cram win. In the second quarterfinal match, Dangerous Alliance takes on Math Guy and Guard. Dangerous Alliance wins. In the third match, Under the Bridge, the tag team of Uncle Bradley and James Booker take on new players James and Evan. Under the Bridge wins. And Ken Fouché and Young Allergy take on the team called So Good It Should Be Banned. Also 2 new players, at least to me, Jake and Sarah, with So Good It Should Be Banned winning. In the semifinals for the Friday Tag Team Tournament, we have the tag team of the Grump and Colby Cram. The Grump playing as Hardcore Alexander Slamilton, Colby Cram playing as Raven, take on So Good It Should Be Banned, Sarah playing as Snake Pit, Jack playing as the newest version of D2. Grump and Colby Cram win that match. In the other match, the LFF's Most Dangerous Alliance, Sean Loeb playing as Candyman, Chris Pate playing as Big Bad Bobby D. They're taking on Under the Bridge, Uncle Bradley as Scott Prime, James Booker as Amazing Red. Dangerous Alliance wins there. So Dangerous Alliance takes on Grump and Colby Cram in the finals. The match ends up going to Crowd Meter 3. The winner at Crowd Meter 3, the team of the Grump and Colby Cram. Congratulations to this team for winning the 2024 Gen Con Tag Team Tournament. Colby Cram, relatively new player, Grump, seasoned veteran. Also around this time on Friday, I see the news release from the general manager of the LFF Hardcore Championship, Mark Perry. The next challenger for the Hardcore Championship, currently held by Chris Pate, Ricky Riot, the Italian Bombata. The Italian Bombata will send a list of 3 competitors he would like to use in the match. Mark Perry will choose which one he will challenge for the championship with. That's Friday's news. Saturday, we start off with what was originally billed as a triad U.S. old school tournament. You had to use competitors from one of those three divisions. It was changed to a non-top 96 tournament. So you could use any competitor, any singles competitor that's not in the World or Underworld division. 19 players in the tournament, 5 bullet rounds, 1 undefeated player, Guard. Guard went 5-0 with the Heartache Kid. Before I get to the top cut, one little bit of news I forgot to mention. This had been mentioned with the original event that players going the furthest with competitors in particular divisions would get championship shots. So, for example, the person who goes the furthest, wins with a U.S. division competitor, they will get a future shot at a U.S. championship. Competitor that goes furthest with old school will get an old school. Triad will get a triad shot. That was what was originally announced. I don't know if they extended that so that, for example, if you ended up playing with a hardcore division competitor in this tournament, will you get a future hardcore shot? I don't know. But that was something that was out there for this tournament. Again, card subject to change. They end up cutting to a top 8 in this tournament. In the first round of the tournament, we have the undefeated Guard take on The Phil Birch, with The Phil Birch ending Guard's undefeated streak. Second match of the quarterfinals, Mr. Rumble versus Matthew Bobby, or Bobby, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I need to ask him about that. Mr. Rumble wins. Third match of the quarterfinals, the Enforcer versus Sean Loeb. Sean Loeb takes it. And the final match of the quarterfinals, Ken Fouché versus yours truly. Unfortunately, Ken Fouché wins. Congratulations to those 4 gentlemen for making the semifinals. In the semifinals, we have Mr. Rumble as Scrapyard Cat, an old school division competitor, versus Sean Loeb as Swoggle, a global division competitor. This was a match without a stipulation. The match ends up going to crowd meter 1. The winner of that match, Sean Loeb. Sean Loeb is the only person playing a global competitor that made it to the semifinals, so he potentially may get a shot at the global championship. Mr. Rumble, the only player who made it this far with an old school division competitor, so he may get a shot at that belt. In the other semifinal match, The Phil Birch playing as himself, a United States division competitor, and Ken Fouché playing as the Grim Librarian, another United States division competitor. This was a steel cage match. It ended up being steel cage because The Phil Birch owed a steel cage match. He was supposed to play one at Grand Gathering. He didn't, so he played it here. And he wins at crowd meter 1. So he potentially may get a shot at a U.S. championship match somewhere down the line. So we have The Phil Birch versus Sean Loeb in a very quick match that unfortunately I stepped away for a second and didn't even realize it was happening. And by the time I got back, it was done. Very quick match, doesn't go past crowd meter 0. The winner of Saturday afternoon's tournament, The Phil Birch. Congratulations to The Phil Birch for winning. This brings us to the World Championship Tournament Saturday night. 36 players in the tournament, 5 bullet rounds. They end up cutting to a top 18. Everyone with a record of 3-2 or above made the top cut. The stipulation in the opening round of the top cut was steel cage. Loudmouth Leo Larynx had the opportunity to cash in a Master of Ceremonies to change the stipulation. He did not. I don't have any information about who made the top 18. I did play against Loudmouth Leo in the steel cage match that was streamed. I almost botched it, but I did end up winning by escaping the cage. So I make the top 9. 3 singles matches and a triad match. In the triad match, we have Matt Bickle versus Kempo Kenny versus the Enforcer, with the Enforcer winning the triad match. In the first singles match, Matthew Brosman versus Dave Marisak in a Psycho Circus match. The Director of Operations wins there. In the third match, the Grump Danny Thunder versus Bob Dunn in a steel chain match. Bob Dunn takes the victory. And the final match of the top 9, James Booker versus myself in a tables match. James Booker walks away with the victory there. So very close. making it to what ended up being the finals match. Because these 4 gentlemen were given the option after this match to decide what kind of matches they wanted for what was presented as the semifinal round. Told that if they could not come up with a decision, and they had about 6 minutes to decide, they would be paired up by General Manager Clace in 2 ladder matches. The 4 of them come together and decide to do a fatal 4-way first fall match. So we have Bob Dunn as Robert the Brain Dunn versus James Booker as the foil version of Macho Manny versus the Enforcer as Johnny Gargano versus the Director of Operations Dave Marisak as the Perfection Sean Spears competitor. Players were allowed to save each other, but each player could only save twice. That's not make 2 save rolls. That is, each person can say, I'm going to decide to save this person 1 time, and they can make up to 3 rolls if that's necessary. And then they can say, okay, I'll make a second save, attempt to save this person. I get up to 3 save rolls if necessary. That's how that worked. This was a very exciting match. It was streamed. I was there in person. A lot of players baring their hands to protect each other. The winner ends up being, representing KSW, playing with Johnny Gargano, the Enforcer. Congratulations to the Enforcer for winning the Gen Con World Championship Tournament. It's a very small number of us that have done it, and I'm glad to welcome him into that small number. That was Saturday. Sunday, the Bluegrass Championship is defended. General Manager John Clace, a former Bluegrass champion, challenges using the newer version of his own competitor. He challenges the champion Ken Fouché, playing as his own competitor, the Grim Librarian. Standard singles match goes to crowd meter 1. The winner, still champion, Ken Fouché. Congratulations to Ken Fouché for a successful defense. The final tournament, Sunday at Gen Con, was a global/old school tournament. You had to play as either a global competitor or an old school competitor, old school or global division. 16 players entered the tournament. There were 5 bullet rounds, and then we had an odd cut. We cut to a top 8, but it was very strange the way it was done. So the first 3 matches in the top cut were New York Rules matches. Faith Velasquez versus Chris Pate, with Chris Pate winning. The Math Guy versus a new player, George Zhang, with George Zhang winning. And Ken Fouché versus the Grump Danny Thunder, with the Grump winning. Then Matt Bickle, who went 5-0 and got a bye, ends up playing the Grump. But this isn't the top 4. It's very strange what they end up doing here. I don't really understand why they did what they did, because there was a play-in match for the top 8 going on while this was going on. Matthew Bobby ends up winning that play-in match. I thought he was going to play 12 Grat Matt, but he doesn't. 12 Grat Matt ends up playing the Grump. 12 Grat Matt using Ricochet, the Grump playing as Deathmatch King Matt Cardona. 12 Grat Matt wins with Ricochet. In the next matches in the top cut, we have the play-in winner playing as Evilise, Matthew Bobby, versus George Zhang playing as Heartache Kid in a Ring of Fire match. George Zhang wins. In the other match in the top cut, we have 12 Grat Matt playing as Ricochet versus Chris Pate playing as Shane Hurricane Helms in a no stipulation match. Goes to crowd meter 1. Chris Pate wins. So Chris Pate takes on George Zhang. Standard singles match. It goes to crowd meter 1. The winner at crowd meter 1, Chris Pate. So Chris Pate wins the first and last tournaments of Gen Con. Congratulations to Chris Pate for having a good Gen Con. The final featured match of Gen Con is the LFF World Heavyweight Championship match. The challenger, the Grump Danny Thunder, playing as the Grump. The champion, Yasmin, playing as Runtime Terror. The Grump attempts to jump the bell using the Jumps the Bell entrance. Rolls a 5 for his first turn roll, so that fails. The match does not go past crowd meter 0. At crowd meter 0, Yasmin plays a Smack with the Shovel card, where if it's stopped, she loses by disqualification. The Grump uses a Spectacle to grab a stop, stops it, so the Grump wins the championship match, but the championship cannot change hands on disqualification, so Yasmin walks out as the champion. Congratulations to the Grump for a victory. Yasmin lives to fight another day. What does this mean for the championship going forward? I don't know. We'll have to see. But that's how Gen Con closed. The next big live in-person play thing is Pixel Palace Pandemonium 5. Pixel Palace Pandemonium 5 is a creative competitor tournament happening at Pixel Palace Games in Powell, Ohio, a week from Saturday, August 17th. It's $30 to enter the tournament. The bell time is 1 p.m. Eastern. If you go to supershowthegame.com, look up under Shop, In-Person and Online Events, go to the event portion under that. There are 3 options. The last option is the Pixel Palace Pandemonium 5. $30 entry fee. There's no booked list here. Traditionally, all of the past winners of Pixel Palace Pandemonium have been booked. Going from memory, that's Gia de los Muertos, Scarlet Graves, The Executioner, and Ricky Riot. I believe they're also planning on booking the top 32 as well, so it'll be Underworld Division Tournament. We'll have to wait and see. I expect the general manager of BCW, which is hosting Pixel Palace Pandemonium 5, I expect he will announce that within the next week or so. CCC News. The final match of the LFF versus WWX round of the 2024 Creative Competitor Competition ended Wednesday, one day before Gen Con started. I did a rough tally Wednesday night. Here's my unofficial rough tally. I have the Misfit scoring 126 points on Facebook, Boss Bella scoring 91 points on Facebook. The Misfit, the competitor representing the LFF, Boss Bella, the owner of WWX representing WWX. I have 31 votes for the Misfit from Instagram. I have 71 votes for Boss Bella from Instagram. And I have 29 votes from Twitter for Misfit, and 8 votes from Twitter for Boss Bella. This is a total of 186 for Misfit and 170 for Boss Bella. There were some shares on Facebook I did not count, but I believe there are no more than 9-0 for Boss Bella, which would still give the Misfit the victory. Now, again, this is unofficial. Steve Resk, Pat Mulligan, the people running the CCC, to my knowledge, they have not done an official count yet. I'm not surprised. It's delayed with Gen Con going on. I expect we'll get an official result on the next episode of Talk of the Universe this Wednesday. That's where we are with the CCC. Now, what's going to happen in the next round? I don't know. I would not be shocked if whoever loses this match gets in as a wild card. That would be 10 people making it in. Maybe we'll get more wild cards, maybe we won't. 10 is a weird number, but then again, anything outside of 8 is a weird number. We are already at 9 because both people in my match, the winner, JAC, and the loser, Joey Sins, made the top cut. Kickstarter update. We are just over 1 week into the current Super Show plus Mucha Lucha equals Super Lucha. It's a Game of Dice Kickstarter. We are currently at $47,342 pledged from a total of 335 backers. We've unlocked one funding goal by reaching $40,000. That has unlocked the competitor set for Hex. The next funding goal is at $55,000. Reaching that goal will unlock Aerial Lipstick and Scrappers. Then there's a $70,000 goal to unlock Sister Sledgehammer, an $85,000 goal to unlock Motha, and a $100,000 goal to unlock Baby Chaos. Those are the maximum goals. Community goals, 500 backers to get the belt. We're still 165 backers away there. 500 comments. That's comments on Kickstarter. We're currently at 118. 500 comments unlocks the Room Full of Rocking Chairs promo card. All 4 tiers are currently available. Of course, the 2 unlimited tiers. one copy of Super Lucha, and Super Lucha plus Matt and Extra Competitor. There are 9 left for the Create a Super Lucha card tier at $199. There are 7 left at the Create a Super Lucha Luchador Wave 2 tier, $899. Anything you'd like to do in the Super Lucha campaign currently available. All the tiers. So whatever you want to pledge, you can pledge. It's all out there. There are 17 days left in the campaign, so plenty of time for more people to back, plenty of time for more people to pledge. We'll have to see how far the campaign goes. They were pushing the Kickstarter at Gen Con, not as much as I would have liked to have seen. They did have some Super Lucha decks that they were using for demos, which I think was good, but I don't feel like they were going as hard with the Kickstarter promotion as they could have been. I would like to have seen more. Maybe there were, and I just missed it because they weren't promoting to me. That's where we are right now, though, with the Super Lucha Kickstarter. Those are going to be it for the big stories this week. Let's talk about the online tournaments, featured matches from this past week. I'll start Monday. 2 things Monday. The first Monday was Big Picture Premium's pay-per-view event, Hollywood Heat. 4 matches on the match card, all relatively short matches. The opening match on the match card was a grudge match. Loudmouth Leo Larynx, playing as the original version of Donation, versus the Grump Danny Thunder, playing as Rhino. This match doesn't go past crowd meter 0. The winner, Loudmouth Leo Larynx. Second match of the night, Mr. Rumble as Kenta versus Mr. Pollywood as Back Hurt. This match goes a little bit farther, goes to crowd meter 1. The winner at crowd meter 1, Mr. Pollywood. Congratulations to Mr. Pollywood. The third match of the night, an AC Online Championship match. The challenger, Simple Chuck, playing as Ring Admiral Grumpy Thunder. The champion, El Hombre Cybernetico, champion with his own competitor. This match also doesn't go past crowd meter 0. The winner, still champion, El Hombre Cybernetico. The final match of the night is a match for the Hollywood Heavyweight Championship. The challenger, Reverend Goodbrains, playing as the Brain Still Standing, takes on champion, the Misfit, playing as the original version of Matt Cardona. This has been a pretty big feud. The Misfit had a hit put out successfully on Reverend Goodbrains, but Reverend Goodbrains coming back from injury to have this match. Unfortunately, he does not get his revenge in the match at crowd meter 0. The winner, still champion, the Misfit. Afterwards, the Misfit calls out the man he believes that defeating will guarantee his spot as the best Hollywood heavyweight champion ever. He calls out Rambo Apocalypse. That will be the next challenger for the Misfits. And that was Big Picture Premium Presents Hollywood Heat. The other event from Monday was Monday Night Fights. There were 10 players in this World Division event from Monday Night Fights. Group stage is 2 groups, 5 players per group. Top 2 records per group advanced into the top cuts. To my knowledge, there were no stipulations. The top 4 were in 4th place, playing as Commissioner Drew Matson, the Wolf Guardian, Casey Ryan. In 3rd place, playing as Funtime Bob, Commissioner Drew Matson. So Commissioner Drew Matson, 3rd and 4th. In 2nd place, playing as the Magnificent Mr. Ray, Swaggy D, and the winner, playing as Ricky Riot himself. Congratulations to Ricky Riot for winning on Monday. Tuesday, we have a match for the Play True Championship. The challenger, playing as his creation, the Shield Maiden, Mr. Rumble. The champion, playing as his creation, the antagonist, Ant West. This match does not go past crowd meter 0. The winner, new champion, Mr. Rumble. After the match, the next 2 contenders are chosen using a random spin of the wheel on the computer. Those 2 contenders are Emo Man and the Consigliere. Mr. Rumble tried to call out the Consigliere first, wanted that shot first, but it looks like Emo Man will get the first crack at Mr. Rumble. Don't know when that's going to be. I'll talk about that when that happens. One bit of news I should have reported on earlier. I apologize, it's in an odd place in my notes. We know who is going to be in round 3 of the Supershow Olympics. The top 4 teams are John Polverino's team, Drew Madsen's team, the Grumps team, and Booker Mania's team. In the semifinal round, Polverino's team will face Drew Madsen's team, and the Grumps team will face James Booker's team. I believe they're still in the period where they're building their decks to submit them, and matches will start soon. But that's where we are right now with the Supershow Olympics. Thursday, we have Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. 9 players, 2 groups, 1 group of 5, 1 group of 4. Top 3 players from each group advance to the top cut, which is a birdcage match. It's a 1-match birdcage match in the finals. The winner, playing as Shogun, winning the Shogun Challenge, showing that Shogun can win a Thursday night event. HR of the Unionverse. Congratulations to HR for winning Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. Sunday, 1 featured match on Sunday Night Fights, a match for the Deep South Championship. The challenger, representing the big picture, Business Time Ben. Business Time Ben playing as Deathmatch King Matt Cardona. The champion, Harvey Lester, playing as Anastasia Morningstar. The story of this match was Harvey Lester rolling his gimmick like crazy. He rolled multiple, I believe it was in the mid-teens, multiple times his gimmick went off, so Business Time Ben's turn roll was reduced by 2. Business Time Ben is able to hang around, though, and at Crowd Meter 0, he, with I believe only an 8 on the finish roll, wins the match. Harvey Lester, who'd been rolling a bunch of 7s, rolled a bunch of 7s for breakout rolls, and the winner and new champion, Business Time Ben. Congratulations to Business Time Ben for winning the Deep South Championship. As far as events coming up for this week, tonight, August 5th, there will be Monday Night Fights. $5 entry fee at the time I'm recording this, 10 spots left. Open division event. You can play as any singles competitor, subject to 2020 vision. There's a request to make it a friendly event, not bring the most powerful competitors, because they're hoping to get a lot of new Gen Con players in the tournament. No stipulations in the top cut. The event will start at 8 p.m. Eastern. Zoom room will open at 7:30 p.m. You have to send Brian Schmidt, your competitor, before you can enter Zoom. Thursday, there will be Chibi's Thursday Night Fights. $5 entry fee. It's listed as being in stock. It doesn't list the quantity, so I assume it's more than 10. Open division event. Zoom room opens at 7:30 p.m. They're hoping to start the tournament at 8 p.m., all Eastern Time. 32-player cap. Round robin format, so the group stage format. Top 2 per group advancing to the top cut. The quarterfinals and round of 16, if necessary, will be New York rules matches. Semifinals will be Ring of Fire. Final stipulation to be announced. $5 entry fee. There is a form you need to fill out and send to Chibi on the post on supershowthegame.com. All of these are available on supershowthegame.com when you want to sign up. Dojo Tuesday night, twitch.tv/srguniverse. And then, of course, Pixel Palace Pandemonium, $30, August 17th, Pixel Palace Games, Powell, Ohio. With that being said, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Outlaw Mudcast. I would like to thank all of you for listening, and good day.